The request was short and sweet, no repeats, using dumbbells to strengthen the shoulders. Hi, I'm Kathy. I'm a physical therapist, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. But first, we're going to warm up. So I'm going to start with some shoulder circles. Now, you can warm up a lot of different ways. If you prefer to ride a stationary bike, if you happen to have an upper body ergometer or an arm bike, that would be perfect. So we're doing just a few circles in one direction, a few circles in the other direction. And I'll even do some marching with my arms just to kind of get the body loosened up a little bit and ready for some exercises. So usually a couple minutes is all you really need just to get that blood flowing so that the muscles are ready when we start lifting the weights. Now in today's video, I'm just going to be using 4 pounds, 3 pounds, and 2 pounds, depending on how I'm feeling. Right now, I'm nursing a shoulder injury, so we're just going to take it easy and do what we can. So, last for the warm up, I'm just going to do a few reverse shoulder rolls, kind of going up, down, and back to get them going. So, the first exercise is for the scapular stabilizers. What I'm going to do is bring my inside leg forward to give my arm some room to move. And I'm just going to lean on the counter here and lift the arm up in the air and slowly lower it back down. For these exercises today, we'll be doing about 12 repetitions. Here we go. We're halfway through. As I'm doing this, I'm just making sure that my arm is about even with my body. I don't want to come up too high and I don't want to go into a range that's painful. We just want to stay in the pain-free range of motion as we're doing these. And as we come down, we want to make sure that we're coming down with a good amount of control and not letting the weight swing back and forth. So let's go ahead. We're going to switch over to the other side. I've got my inside leg forward. I'm hinging forward from my hips as I lift up my arm and slowly let it come back down. Here's number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And that completes the first exercise. The next exercise we're going to do, we're going to go back to the other hand, inside leg forward again as I hinge forward from the hips. This time I'm going to be bringing my arm out to the side, just about level with my body. And this will get the muscles in the mid back. This helps a lot with your posture. And it helps to keep the scapula muscles stabilized. And what I find in the clinic is a lot of people who have pain in their shoulders, especially when they're lifting, these muscles that we're working out today tend to be quite weak. So let's just do a few more of these, and then we'll switch over to the other side. Again, when we come down, we want to come down with a good amount of control so that we get the full benefit of the exercise. All right, so we're going to hinge forward from the hips, inside leg forward, and just lifting up what I can comfortably, just like this. Now the next exercise is almost like the one we just did, only now when we lift up, we're going to be bending the elbow and we're just coming up like this. This makes sure that we get both the rhomboids and the middle trapezius muscles. And the reason I like to switch from left to right on these is just to make sure that I don't over fatigue the muscles and end up with an injury, because we're all about injury prevention here. Let's go ahead and switch to the right side. Inside leg forward, we're hinging forward from the hips and we're lifting up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So the next exercise, which is Scaption, I'm going to go ahead and use the 2-pound weight because, like I said, I've got a small strain in my shoulder. And whenever you're exercising, you don't want to do anything that causes you acute pain. So for these, my arms are just forward, but not straight ahead. And I'm keeping my thumbs up. When you keep your thumbs up, you prevent your shoulder from going into an impingement position, which can cause a lot of problems, especially as we get older. So we're just coming up and down. And again, as we're lowering the weights, I need to make sure that I'm lowering them with a good amount of control so that I get the maximum benefit of the exercise. If I lift up the weights, but then just let them come down, I'm missing out on half of the work. So we just want to come down with a good amount of control. All right, just a few more of these. And that will be perfect. Alrighty. If at any time when you're doing these, you can always pause, take a little break, and get a drink of water. So next is going to be shoulder flexion. We're going to stick with the 2-pound weights, and I'm just going to lift up, keeping my thumbs up and slowly lowering the weights back down. One of the most important things that you can do when you're exercising is just make sure that you're listening to your body. If you feel like something's off or is causing you pain, it's probably best to take a break, reset, and try again. But if it still causes you pain, you might want to check with your healthcare provider just to make sure you're not doing anything that could cause any injuries. Alrighty. So for these work the muscles in the chest, and I can really feel it right in the front of my arms. And it does work the biceps a little bit and the front deltoids. Okay, very good. And making sure that I use that good control on the way down so that I get that eccentric work, which is so important. For the next exercise, I'm using a slightly heavier weight. I'm using the 3 pounds, and it's an upright row. So I've got the weights together in front of me, and I'm just lifting up about chest height, as you can see here. And from the side, it looks like this. When I'm doing these, I've got my feet about shoulder width apart. I've got a slight bend in my knees, and I'm activating my core muscles by drawing my belly button into my spine so that my posture stays nice. When you do these without doing those things, without engaging the core muscles, you can injure your back because you can use momentum, especially as the weights get heavier. If you're just using light weights like this, most likely you would be okay. But it's a good practice to do these things because as we increase the weights, the risk of injury does go up. And if we keep our form good in the beginning stages, then as we get stronger and can progress to heavier weights, we'll stay safe. So we're going back to the 2-pound weights for the overhead press. Now, I know there's a lot of controversy when it comes to these, but if you do these with good form, I think it's a very functional exercise because it helps you to be able to reach overhead. I know I'm kind of on the short side, so a lot of times I'm reaching into a cabinet. I'm either trying to take something down or put something back up there. And it's just good to be able to lift a little bit of weight over your head. Again, these are just 2 pound weights. And as you can see, I'm keeping the weights just in front of my face. I'm not coming back like this. Not that you couldn't do that, but for me, I feel like this is a comfortable position to do this exercise. It doesn't cause any pain at all. And in fact, you don't even hear my shoulders clicking on this one, which you may on some of the other exercises. So for me, this is a perfectly safe exercise. You give it a try. If it causes you any extra pain, or if you happen to have a shoulder impingement already, then this may not be the right exercise for you. And we'll just do one more. There we go. The next exercise I want to do is a bicep curl. So I like to stand with a split stance. It helps me to keep my core muscles engaged. I'm going to start with my palms facing my sides and then rotate up and control back down. Now I'm only using 4 pounds. If you find that too easy for you, you can go up a little bit, especially if you're a man. 4 pound weights might not be quite heavy enough for you, or even some women. 4 pound weights might just be way too easy. And if it is, if you can do 12 of these and it doesn't even feel like you've worked the muscle at all, go ahead and add a few more pounds and see how you do with that. Most of the people that I work with, we don't use a lot of weight because we're just getting over injuries. We're getting back to working out because we haven't been able to, for whatever reason. Maybe there's been an illness or an injury, and we're just getting back to doing some regular physical activity. Alrighty, let's go ahead and do just a few more of these bicep curls. And again, I'm going nice and slow so that I get that eccentric work on the way down. So next, we're going to go ahead and do a tricep kickback. So what I'm going to do, inside leg forward again, hinging forward from the hips. I'm going to lift up like so and push back and then reverse the process. Lift, kick back, and reverse. And with these, we want to go nice and slow. So earlier, I was talking about exercising, and the recommendation is to work out both the major muscle groups of the arms and the legs twice a week. Now, you can do them both on the same day if you want, or some people like to split it up and do arms one day, legs the next, like that. But also, in addition to working out the muscles, you want to make sure that you save some time for stretching and also moderate physical activity. Now, moderate physical activities can come in many forms. You could go for a walk, which is my favorite. You could ride a bike. You could go swimming. You could do rowing. Whatever activity for you feels good. I know a lot of people like to play pickleball. I am not all that coordinated to do something like that. But if that's your jam, then I think that's great. My favorite thing to do is go for a walk. And you can let me know in the comments what your favorite activity is to get your moderate physical activity. Alrighty. So since the request was short and sweet with no repeats using the dumbbells, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I would do a chest press if I weren't trying to strengthen my chest using the dumbbells. I'll probably do some push-ups, either leaning on the counter or leaning on the wall. Here, so I've got my arms near my chest and I'm just lifting up straight in the air. I do have my knees bent to help protect my back, and I am drawing my belly button into my spine as I usually do, just to make sure that everything stays nice and controlled. Like I said before, since I'm only using a 4 pound weight, the chance of me hurting myself is very low, but it's good to get in practice of using good form when you're in the beginning stages. So as you increase what you're able to lift, you're not causing any injuries to your body, especially your shoulders. As we get older, it seems to me it's a little bit easier to get hurt. And we just want to make sure that we're doing these safely and with a good amount of control. Alrighty. And that is perfect. So the next exercise is the shoulder external rotation. Again, if I were using resistance band, I would do this standing up. But if you just have a weight like this and you don't have any resistance band, this is going to be the way to do it. So I've just got my arm by my side. I could put a little pillow or a towel roll under my arm to help me keep my position a little bit better. But I'm just going to do it like this. And we're just externally rotating that shoulder. And I feel that right in the top of my scapula as I'm doing this. And you could do this with a 1 pound weight or a 2 pound weight. I just so happen to be using the 4 pound weight, going with a good amount of control. So let's switch. Here we go. We're going to just lift up just like this. I'm trying to find a comfortable position. I didn't think about this one before, so I could probably use a pillow. So you can use a pillow. Don't be like me. It's okay to give yourself a few little creature comforts if you like. So I'm just lying on my side and just externally rotating, trying to keep the rest of my body fairly still and using a good amount of control as we go up. Although I feel like this is the type of exercise I would probably be needing a mirror for, just so that I could go with better control, because I feel like I'm wiggling just a little bit too much because of that kinesthetic awareness. Because usually if I'm doing this type of exercise, I am using the resistance band. All right, so now that we've worked the major muscle groups of the arms, I'm just gonna do a few simple stretches. I'm gonna pull my arm across my body to stretch the back of the arm, and we'll do a few on each side. When you're stretching, you wanna hold it between 20 and 30 seconds, even up to a minute, sometimes depending on how tight you are. But we're just gonna get through. We'll just do a couple on each side. Go by how you feel when you're doing these types of things, because sometimes I feel good after a couple of repetitions. Sometimes I need to do a little bit more. All right, we'll get the triceps. So what I'm doing is just lifting up here and just pushing back, and that just stretches right through here. That looks good to me. And we'll switch over and get the other side. And let me know in the comments how you enjoyed those exercises, if this is something you'd like to see more of. I'm always looking for new ideas with my videos. So if you have a special request, just put it in the comments. I'd love to make a video just for you. I've made videos for my friends. I've made some videos for my acquaintances. So if you have any special requests, just let me know. And if I'm able to do it, there's a good chance you'll see it, but it just may take a little while for it to show up. So next I'm going to do a little chest stretch, and I'm just going to kind of hold on to the counter and rotate my arm out. Now what you could do is you could do this stretch in a doorway if you wanted to. Or here, I've got both of these. I can just stretch like this. So if there was a doorway, we could hold like this and then come forward. And if you're pretty tight, you don't even have to use the doorway. You can just stretch your arms back, and that's a good stretch. Just be careful when you're stretching not to overstretch your muscles. Well, I hope you enjoyed these exercises today. If you did, you might also like this video here.